After the horrific October 7th attack on Israel, when about 1,200 people were killed and 250 others were taken hostage, Israel launched a war to destroy Hamas. Tens of thousands of people were killed in the process, and much of that territory is in ruins today. So yesterday, President Trump made this suggestion for what could happen next.
We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute, I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad, this could be so magnificent. But more importantly than that is the people that have been absolutely destroyed that live there now can live in peace in a much better situation because they're living in hell.
Now, the plan would also involve relocating more than 2 million Palestinians. We're joined now by the president's national security advisor, that's Mike Waltz. Mr. Waltz, thank you so much for joining us. We're all looking forward to this conversation. We really appreciate you taking the time. So yesterday,
Sure.
when the
Good to be with you. Thank you.
When the president made that announcement yesterday, ran that proposal, I'm told, I wasn't there, but I'm told that a lot of jaws dropped, that there was gasping in the room. And I guess my first question for you is, what right do we, the U.S., have to do this when you have 2 million Palestinians that say, listen, this is our home, we don't want to leave, we want to rebuild. We love where we live, and we want to stay here. What right does the U.S. have to do this?
Well, I think anyone asking that question, frankly, doesn't have a realistic view of the plight of the Palestinian people in Gaza. I mean, you have literally nearly 2 million people living in a place that has thousands and thousands of unexploded ordnance and bombs. It's in some places like a minefield. You have buildings that are collapsing and unsafe. You have no sewage, no running water. It has become completely unlivable with this war that Hamas started on October 7th. And I, as a veteran, can tell you it is despicable and sad that groups like Hamas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS literally sacrifice the lives and the livelihoods of their own people to achieve some type of ideological gain. But I think what the president is just acknowledging as we've been looking at this over the last weeks and months, and frankly, he's been thinking about it since October 7th and that war is, you know, everybody's heart breaks for the Palestinian people across the region, and rightly so. But he's not seeing any realistic solutions on how those miles and miles and miles of debris are going to be cleared, how those, you know, essentially unexploded bombs are going to be removed, how these people are physically going to live for the at least a decade, if not longer, it's going to take to do this. So the fact that nobody has a realistic solution, and he puts some very bold, fresh, new ideas out on the table, I don't think should be criticized in any way. I think it's going to bring the entire region to come with their own solutions if they don't like Mr. Trump's solution. So that's what we saw, and I think that is just living in the common sense, practical reality of this awful situation that's going on in Gaza and has been going on for quite some time.
We all agree that it's a terrible, awful situation, but Colonel, and I know you're.
But I don't hear a lot of solutions. No, I hear a lot of.
But how about this?
This is awful. This is terrible. You know, the fight, and it is, and we fully agree it is. But I don't hear a lot of solutions.
Here's my question.
Sure.
Why not help them rebuild as opposed to taking it over and making it the Riviera of the Middle East? Saying we're going to get rid of Hamas, we're going to help you get rid of Hamas, and we're going to help you rebuild, as opposed to get out of your land and we're going to take it over and it's going to become a Riviera of the Middle East, which sounds like a profit-based business.
Well, look, I mean, again, it's just back to the kind of common sense of it. When you have 2 million people living on what has become miles of rubble that's completely unlivable, to say we're going to rebuild with them sitting there, I think is incredible. Just again, the reality of it is incredibly difficult. But back to your point on Hamas, and this is where we have a shared vision and we have shared objectives with the Israeli government. Hamas cannot stay there. We would not allow ISIS to continue to attack us on our border. We would not allow another 9/11s. The Israeli government and people deserve to never have another October 7th. But what is the Hamas leadership saying right now as we speak? That if they're allowed to survive more October 7ths, more attacks, raping, burning, and killing of the Israeli people will happen again. So they cannot continue to exist, and we're going to support the Israeli government as they defend themselves.
Mr. Waltz, Colonel Waltz, the Israelis are certainly very happy. Benjamin Netanyahu is very happy to have the U.S. support. They're looking for that. But how, from an American perspective, does this make Americans safer? The first concern people will have is, well, there's terrorism there. Is there now going to be terrorism here because we're so mixed up in this?
Well, it's the same. I mean, I think it's the same strategy and thinking of why we still have forces going after ISIS all over the world. We still have allies and partners helping us with al-Qaeda. The president just authorized on Saturday a strike to a major ISIS financier, recruiter, and leader in the caves in northern Somalia that, frankly, our military have been trying to take out for well over a year and couldn't get the approvals from the previous White House. So I think what you're asking is, why do we support our allies and partners in counterterrorism with a group that is literally promising to conduct future October 7ths, which was the 9/11 for Israel of their time? So absolutely, we're going to continue to help. And when we have terrorism defeated and degraded abroad, it helps the homeland here.
I hear you there, Mr. Waltz. The broader war on terror, that makes sense. Circling back to what Gayle was talking about, you know, for generations now, American policy has been in support of a two-state solution there, stability in the Middle East. There'll be Israel, and then there'll be a future Palestinian state. Yesterday's comments seem to mean the end of that policy. I just want to clarify, is it the end of the two-state policy? And is it a denial for the future by this government of the wish, the dream of Palestinian nationhood?
I don't think certainly didn't hear the president say it was the end of the two-state solution. You have the Palestinian Authority. You have the West Bank. And when he was asked directly who is going to live there in the future, he said the Palestinians and perhaps many others. I mean, those are the conversations that we're having. The president has talked to President Sisi of Egypt. He's talked to Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He has spoken, of course, to King Abdullah, who's coming here next week. We have Prime Minister Netanyahu here now. So the president is engaging with our key allies in the region and asking for their input, asking for their ideas, and is personally engaged on this issue.
Colonel Waltz, last question, and we'll let you go. Does it matter that the Palestinian people may not want this? They want their land and they do not want to move. Does it matter to President Trump? Does it matter to this administration?
Oh, well, of course it does. But, you know, I think one of the key points President Trump made last night was, tell me what real better alternatives they've ever been offered. If you're literally on the brink of starvation, if you can't get clean water, you have no sewage, your home, what's left of it, is about to collapse on your family, and you're offered some type of viable solution to live in peace and have a better future, to not have bombs and bullets flying, to not have Hamas lining the windows and walls with human shields as they fire on Israeli soldiers.
How about negotiating peace and then building on their own land? Well, that's absolutely the president's Middle East envoy, despite a lot of people saying it couldn't be done, actually helped negotiate, the previous administration negotiate the current ceasefire that we're in. And those negotiations are ongoing, and we have hostages being reunited to tears of joy all over Israel. So let's not forget that we literally have murals of President Trump hanging in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem right now, thanking him for the live hostages that are coming out. Mr. Waltz, thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Thank you.